All right. So for this part, again, this is a very, very small little portion of it. The prices we were talking about yesterday. So we talked about price floors, price ceilings, minimum wage, the government stepping in, enforcing or impacting what you and I, consumer producers, can work out with each other. Now, the price system itself has a couple different things that we look at that really kind of impact us on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes we don't even realize, right? So, first one is the language that it provides for us, incentives, and then the signal of how the economy is doing. Right? So, the first one, just want to touch on real quick, is the idea of the incentives, right? The other phrase that's in here that's not really highlighted is measure of value. And this is actually one of those things that I kind of jokingly talked about with that $25,000 Sunday. When I was thinking there, I was joking and I was like, okay, that's down payment on a house. That's a vehicle. That's how about 55 fill-ups of gas on my car, right? You can start to go over all of these different potential perspectives of how these things compare. So when we look at prices of stuff, we tend to do it a lot. Like I know in the springtime, closer to May, I start to hear the girls talk about the prom dresses. And then every once in a while, the prices are thrown out there, and I'm like, holy mackerel. And in my mind, I think to myself, all right, so the amount of money that the girls are spending on these prom dresses would be equal to me buying a brand new computer.
I have to buy a new car.
Yeah.
My aunt, when she went to prom, she ended up getting like this whole Cinderella themed like wedding dress. Basically, she spent over $1,000. Oh my goodness!
I've heard girls talk about that. $1,000, $1,300. Yeah. So instantly, even when you said that, everyone was like, "Whoa, that's like your brain goes down these different avenues, right?" So again, prices kind of allow us to see how we compare value. This next one is a signal that we see all the time. Again, no one says anything, but you see it, and the moment you see the price, you can typically kind of respond. Well, we all respond. I'll give you guys an example. A couple years back, I was married in early 2000s, well, 2005, 2006. And before we were married, her family had a get-together thing out in Vegas. And I was like, that's father invited me, and I was like, thank you so much. So we went out, and while we were out to dinner the one night, we went through one of the really expensive shopping, I think it was in the Venetian or the Bellagio, whatever it was. We walked past the store, and I don't know name brands, anything. I just, like my ex said, I love those boots. Those are gorgeous. Oh my gosh, so nice. And so then we kind of kept walking. She went into a different store, and I kind of had a moment on my own. So I thought, all right, I'll go back and just check and see if maybe I can get these and have them as a gift for her at some point in time. Walked in the store, and gosh, no, they were really, really nice. They have what are the ones with the red bottoms? You guys know what I'm talking about? All I know is that there's shoes out there, or boots, that have the red bottoms that are like these.
Oh, yeah.
Louis Vuitton. They were Louis Vuitton boots. And as I walked in, I just saw them. I just kind of said, just curious, what's the price for these boots? And they were like, it's like almost $1,000 for the boots. I'm like, well, nice. Thank you very much, and just walked right out the store. Again, signal, yeah. It was a very, very big blaring signal. Right? Yeah.
Did you think about getting them all, or you said no?
Oh, it was a no. Yeah. I think she went and got her hair cut in color. Oh, that was a whole other thing. Because I thought, I'll pay for her as like a little gift. So I called her salon, and I was like, yeah, I want to pay for my ex's. And they're like, oh, that's very sweet of you. Would you like to include tip as well? And I was like, well, yeah, that'd be nice. And if she wants to add more, she can. And in my brain, guys, you can probably vouch for me on this one. And I'm thinking $35, like for a really nice cut. No. Yeah, it was like, that'll be $125. I'm like, wait, what? She's like, well, the cut's this much and the color's this. And I'm like,
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good price.
what in the world? Yeah. So again, yeah, signals, blaring signals, right? All right. The other thing about prices, and this is kind of nice in a market system more so, is the flexibility, right? So prices can change quickly. We talked about the moving target yesterday, where it's always adjusting. But keep in mind, if you guys have ever gone shopping, if you know how to shop, there's a way of finagling things all the time. I know that when I went to Depot, gosh, this is what, 2 years ago now, my fridge had died. I needed a new fridge. Saw one at Depot that was decent. And you guys know that they do different versions. They have counter depth one that aren't as thick and they don't stick out as far. They're a little bit wider. So I was like, perfect. So I found one and it was a floor model. So I instantly was like, all right, it's a floor model. Can I get a discount? Good to go. So they gave me, I think, $300 off. And then I found like a nick here and a dent here and a scratch because it was a display model. By the time I left, price had dropped like a good $1,000 from that. So it's really for a couple scratches, I'm fine with that. So flexibility, yeah. And then, does anybody here have the ability to give discounts at work, like right away? Okay. Where you can be like, you know what? Let me give this to you half off or 25% off or something to keep the people, or let me, yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of other things. I know that when I used to work at Lowe's, I as a simple guy moving lumber around was allowed to give someone matching price and then 10% off. I wasn't even a manager. So prices are relatively flexible. Now, this morning there was an announcement that I was actually very happy they made because it fits perfectly into this very content. So, who in here heard about the pizza party next week? Okay, for those who missed it, there is a pizza party next Tuesday. They'll have lunches served for you normally, but then we as a school are providing you guys pizza. So when you guys and seniors, you guys, well, all you guys missed this last year because we had shut down for Christmas, so we didn't get a chance to do this for you. So you guys will go downstairs, and this is like the weird kind of fun part. They give you a little ticket, like one of those like raffle ticket type things, and then you go up and you give the ticket right back to someone, and then you get in line and you get 2 pieces of pizza, and they'll have plain sausage and pepperoni, and then they'll give you a cookie and a can of pop and I think chips, and then you have a seat and it's free. It's on the school. It's not free. It's on the school. School's taking care of it, right? Now, that technically is rationing of pizza, right? Because you only get 2 pieces, and you get a cookie, and you get a pop. Now, do you guys by any chance remember when the semesters would go over Christmas break and then you'd finish it after you came back?
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? So that was the old way. So when that used to happen, when we came back from break, I would always ask the students, all right, what was the going rate for the tickets? Because what would happen is you would ration those tickets, and someone would get a ticket and be like, I don't like pizza. So they'd sit down and someone would be like, ooh, I'll take your ticket. And so you started having this like black market sales for tickets. And people were like scrounging on the ground and finding tickets for like $2. So I think that year the going rate, the last time this happened was like $1.50. People were spending to get back in line, right? And then you had this like, hey, Mr. Howell, can you get me back in line, or can you get me a couple more slices of pizza? And I just started laughing because in my mind I'm thinking we've rationed the pizza and inadvertently created a black market for pizza on the holiday event day. So, but who in here has ever seen people that scalp tickets at games? That's rationing. I can only have these many seats. Ohio State games, lots of students have tickets. So they'll create their own black market sales. Yeah.
The graduation, like the seating tickets.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, anything where it's rationed, you will inevitably have some sort of black market. And then this is one of the things, this last thing, the price system is not perfect. I mean, we run into problems all the time. I'm not sure if you guys have ever done this where you just have someone that's not going to negotiate. and you're like, yeah, but there's damage here, there's this, I want a discount. Nope, this is, take it or leave it, right? So you run into situations like that. Doesn't account for everything, but one of the big ones on there is imperfect competition, right? So if you guys are comparing, like, think about all the companies that are trying to compete against Amazon, right? That's crazy difficult. Like, I know JCPenney and Macy's, everyone's trying to go online, trying to sell stuff digitally. It's kind of crazy. You work at the True Value, right?
Yeah.
You guys, and it's one of those things too where you guys are competing with Home Depot. So if I want big things, I'll go to Depot. If I want small things, personal service, I got a question about this screw. That was my situation with you. I have to fix this little thing. You have this. Yep, we got it. Home Depot, no one's there. So you're running into different types of situations, but it's not perfect. It's imperfect. There's issues with that. These two things we've already talked about. Imperfect information. Has anyone ever bought something on Amazon and then when it shows up, you're like, that's not what I thought I was getting?
Yes.
It's happened a couple of times to me now. All right, so it's imperfect. You get little nuances that you didn't read or they didn't have it. Right? And then the last one, free rider problem. I know we've talked about this, but I was laughing the other day. My first period class, I happened to bring it up with them again today. And I said, hey, there was a class that was talking about an issue with free riders. They didn't even realize they were talking about it. They were telling me that one of the homeschools were giving out Chromebooks. I think it was Brunswick. And kids didn't like that version. And so they were like throwing them.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah, they like break it over their knee to get a new one.
Because this is the old one, I want the new one. That is 100% a free rider problem. Right? Because if it was your computer and you had bought it, you would not be breaking it over your leg to get the new version. That's not how it works. Yeah.
Unless you had
Unless
like
the warranty.
not necessarily a trade-in, but an upgrade. You're like,
Yeah. There's all sorts of ways around it, I'm sure, but that one right there is 100% free rider problem.
I will say it isn't 100% because when the kids didn't know, their parents still got billed $150 for the new computer.
But again, it wasn't their
And
money.
as far as they're concerned,
Yeah, it's kind of like we've had fights in the hallways before, and there was one where a kid like got his head thrown through the wall. Now these walls aren't like, so we had to fix that hole.
But the
The kid didn't pay anything. I think he paid like a small fine, but his parents tried to pay for it. So we definitely have free rider problems. All right, now this graph is the same graph we did yesterday. The one thing I messed up on, I couldn't figure out how to. Oh, I didn't mess up. I just did it wrong on your notes. The blue line, if you look on the top of your sheet, is demand. So I think you'll have demand in that block up here,
Yeah.
and supply will be up here on the top right. So red line is supply, blue line is demand. Equilibrium is that point where they meet. Surplus is going to be above equilibrium, and shortage will be below equilibrium. Yeah. I'm gonna put them tomorrow after quiz. So, with that, we are essentially done with notes for the semester. Congratulations. That note packet's due tomorrow. So if you need to get blanks from around, you can do that. The notes are also on Moodle. The transportation part 6 is due officially tomorrow. If you have time today, you can work on that. Quiz tomorrow, current grade tomorrow. Other than that, I have nothing else for today. That's it.